I have a lot to talk about. I'm feeling a heightened sensitivity for sure. I'm feeling this paradox of being a wave and a particle at the same time. Being a human being, yet feeling all of the world. And I really feel like I'm feeling that sense that Krishnamurti talks about, that I am the world and the world is me. And when one feels that, it's impossible to project a pattern of action. So one is deeply in touch with every moment, and since every moment is so new and different, it changes the sensation quite drastically. Last night I told my family that I wanted to move back to my place that is noisy because then I'll have my own space, but today I'm feeling like that doesn't make sense financially right now. So yeah, I feel like in this fight or flight state and fighting to have some sense of egocentric consciousness and feeling this world-centric consciousness. But when others don't feel it too, the egocentric consciousness feels like it builds back up. It's this weird thing. And I'm wanting to talk myself through it because I don't think this is going to be something that's quick to resolve. And I'm seeing that it can't be organized because it's a collective phenomenon. I don't know. And I'm seeing the limitations of the family structure because it makes the family members want to protect the family members at the expense of the community, and that ripples outwards, and I'm not making sense, but I'm feeling like perhaps I need to look at this attachment to family, which is attempting to love family more than others. Can one love each person as much as it loves family, not breaking from family and saying, well, that's silly. I wrote down quite a few things to talk about and I don't really know where to begin. The sense I have is similar to the sense when sometimes in the past I've dissociated, and one time I literally jumped out of my bed, rushing to the kitchen with my hands out, and that was part of the video I showed, feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to kill myself and I don't even want to. I'm going to destroy the body. And I feel like, or I had a sense of when I was driving to the park today, that since we have this inner self projecting patterns and we're acting according to it with our body, we have this inner image equivalent of the outer. So when that inner image, me, ego, self movement is ending, since it's so tied to the actions of the body, we can mistakenly end the body. Because the inner self, if we're trying to do something to end it, and that self isn't actually there. That's the thing, we're trying to end something that isn't there. So any movement to end the self is a movement of the self. And then the ultimate act to end the self is to end the body. If there's something that really wants to end the self. So I'm seeing that there's nothing that can be done about the self. It will arise when it arises. It's not a matter of some movement to create more world-centric consciousness. World-centric consciousness is a collective phenomena that can't be organized as it is the addition and multiplication of individual actions from individual human bodies at that small level. Just like an ant is both an individual ant, but it's part of the colony, which has a greater intelligence than the individual. But the individual ant doing its simple ant things, all the ants doing that together creates this greater intelligence. So I'm seeing that, at least today, it's a pretty simple thing. And I'm challenged with the simplicity of it within a family structure, and being unable to seemingly do that and wanting to escape or get away. I don't know what it is. It's not them. I'm not sure if it's being within a family unit makes it so that ego structure is there more often. I really don't know what it is, and maybe that's the step, is to really just, I have no idea. I have no idea more than I ever thought that I had an idea after all this talking. I guess I'm seeing the limitations of the family structure. And I was feeling like community is a higher energy than family because it's gestures towards others that aren't related by blood. And there's some kind of power when strangers reach out. And I really felt that when I was first labeled with a mental illness, and being around strangers in the mental health community was really helpful because they didn't have their ideas and desires for me. They weren't projecting those hopes and steering me towards something. Whereas I feel like right now I'm being steered. And I'm feeling the magnitude of that. I don't think just for myself, but just seeing how we steer kids, we steer and basically lead people to the slaughter. We lead people to the standard Western lifestyle, which leads to 50% of people being diagnosed with some kind of mental health problem in their lifetime. So I'm seeing how that structure participates in steering people towards the mental health system, and they don't see that they're doing that. So it's not anybody's fault. I'm just making stuff up. I don't even know. Anyway, I'm feeling like that is a trap, and I'm trapped. I feel trapped. And I don't know if I'm speaking only for myself or if I'm speaking for how the family is kind of a trap. It doesn't have to be, but a lot of times it is. And I feel guilty for saying that in a way, but I don't know. Yet I'm not separated from anyone, so what the hell? I don't get it. I don't get it. What the hell? And it looks like I'll be going to the Cognitive Remediation Conference on Saturday. And I printed off a couple of the papers about medication maintenance, time to rethink. I'm wondering how to translate this ignorance in my heart into love. I feel like I'm attempting to know, to understand. I can't understand that I can't understand. But then how does one move? So yeah, I might hand out that paper to a few people, or I don't know if it's a good idea to keep going on this path, but even if I end up having to take meds to slow down this feeling of oneness and this sensitivity to dull it out, then that's okay. I'll just take some kind of antipsychotic to numb myself out for a couple days and then be back on the micronutrients. Or I don't know if I'd have to slow taper off them again. I don't know how it would work. I should probably call Hardy Nutritionals and ask. And even if I have to do that, it's not the end of the world, because it'll show that I can get back quickly. But this feeling, this oneness, is feeling heavy. And it goes away. It goes away for sure. So yeah, I feel like I'm feeling the collective. I really don't know. I'm feeling like I'm all of humanity, as in a wave, as in a field of consciousness that is all possibilities of humanity. And also this individual being, this particle. And it's both and. And then being all of humanity, this separate human body is an agent of figuring out what it means to be humanity, or part of humanity. Like the ants have it figured out, what it is to be part of an ant colony. And I've talked about with myself how it's in the little gestures. The little gestures of love, and I'm finding it hard to reach out in those gestures. And one thing I could do, though, is the other day I didn't leave the $5 in the park. I thought I wanted to leave it somewhere where someone who might really need it will find it, but I think I need to make that gesture. So here it is. I don't have a $5 bill, so I will divide it up. I'll put one here. And 2 other places. Already I feel a little bit of oxytocin. I feel a little bit of connection. How somehow through that I'll be connected to somebody. Whatever they feel when they find it, I will get that. Not I don't know. And I want to call this the stranger effect. Strangers looking out for strangers is really powerful, because there's this expectation that family will look out for us, and that decreases its meaning. For some reason, we're really surprised when a stranger reaches out, but we feel entitled to family reaching out, and we have patterns of how we believe they should reach out. And then when they don't fulfill that expectation, it creates all kind of conflict. So I'm really trying to work this out in my own mind and heart. I'm struggling with it. The stranger effect, the stranger love contagion.